I can't say I'm a regular reader of Rolling Stone, and I've generally regarded it as a magazine read by people who are stoned. But Rolling Stone has an interesting article. I actually picked it up online about CNN. And sometimes in these kind of gossipy accounts of the kind you get in Vanity Fair or Rolling Stone, you begin to get the real story that has been somewhat submerged or camouflaged in the other media. And the question that this article, I think, pretty effectively answers is, why was Jeff Zucker really fired? Now, there's a kind of official story here, and the official story on the surface makes a kind of sense. It goes sort of like this. CNN has some very strict guidelines about you call it interoffice dating. According to these guidelines, the code of conduct, I'm going to read, to avoid a conflict of interest, employees must not hire or supervise directly or indirectly someone with whom they have a personal relationship. And if that is the case, it says, quote, you must inform the HR department. And so the official narrative is that Jeff Zucker had a relationship, the duration of it is debated, with a woman named Alison Gollust at CNN. He did not disclose this relationship, even though this woman was kind of one of his top lieutenants. And therefore, he's in violation of the CNN code, and therefore he had to be let go. The idea was that this is a kind of a staff situation that arose and was discovered in the wake of the investigation into Chris Cuomo. Remember the accusations from several women against Chris Cuomo that resulted in Chris Cuomo being ejected. And so it's like we stumbled upon Jeff Zucker's relationship. And unfortunately, even though he's the head of CNN, he had to go. Now, according to Rolling Stone, that is only a little part of the story. And in fact, if that were the only violation, I suspect that CNN would have said to Zucker, hey, listen, you should have been a little more upfront. Yes, I'll do that next time. I'll be more upfront. Okay, thank you very much. Go back to your office. It would have been more like that. But as it turns out, what happened with CNN in the Cuomo investigation is they hired a law firm and they said, sort of, dig into the situation. Let us know what's really going on. And what this law firm discovered, this is Cravat, Swaine, and Moore, a very prestigious law firm, they discovered that there was a whole operation going on in which Zucker and Gollust, remember, this woman Gollust used to work for Governor Andrew Cuomo. And it turns out that between her and Zucker, they became unofficial advisors to Andrew Cuomo. They were basically strategizing with Cuomo about how he could raise his profile vis-a-vis Trump and make him, Andrew Cuomo, a potential rival to Trump. So think of it. You've got a news network, the most trusted name in news. And what are they doing? They're number one and number two, you can say, guys, are working with an actual elected official and cooperating, and you can almost say conspiring, in using CNN itself as a propaganda vehicle to raise this guy's profile and sort of score points against Trump. Now, Rolling Stone kind of documents this by showing that there was a proposal by Trump to deal with COVID by imposing, and this goes back to the early months of COVID, a potential temporary moratorium, a temporary shutdown. And apparently Cuomo had nothing particularly interesting to say about it until Alison Gollust and Jeff Zucker got into the picture. And apparently there was some sort of three-way communication between them. I don't know if it went through Gollust or whether Zucker and Governor Cuomo spoke directly. That's not clear from the article. But what is clear from the article is that these guys were advising Cuomo, and once Cuomo took their advice, they're like, yeah, come on CNN, so that this strategy that we're passing over to you, you can now use in your public attack on Trump, which we will present as a CNN scoop. And we know that this all happened because after Governor Cuomo appears on CNN, Gollust texts Cuomo and she says, quote, well done, Cuomo W, Trump L. In other words, Cuomo gets the win Trump has a loss. And so, in a sense, what Golis is doing here is congratulating Cuomo, but she's also congratulating herself, and she's congratulating Jeff Zucker because the three of them cooked this up together. And I think what happened is Cravat, Swain, and Moore, noticing a lot of this kind of stuff going on, went to CNN and said, listen, this is highly unethical. You have a news network that is supposed to be reporting on the news, is supposed to be sort of putting a skeptical eye on the political class. And what are they doing? They're basically all in, almost as if they are part of the communications team of Governor Cuomo. I think it is this grotesque ethical lapse that's the reason why Jeff Zucker got the boot at CNN.